Hi everyone, my name's Pieta Valentine. I've written 2 books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. Today's video is on laughter is the best medicine in a dementia unit. So actually it is the best medicine because, you know, as we know with other medicine and medications, it can be so toxic, so many side effects. Whereas if, you know, the person can have a laugh and has a good sense of humour and is rallied around by the sense of humour of others in the unit, then all those things, you know, anxiety, depression, anger can just sort of vanish when we have a good laugh, can't it? I mean, it is the key to happiness and, you know, it lifts our spirits, and that's what laughter and entertainment's all about, is to lift us out of our negativity. So that's why laughter is the greatest medicine in a dementia unit. And residents know this, you know, they know it's important to be positive. They know it's important to try and be happy. They know it's important to make friends. But we just, you know, as staff and relatives just need to try and promote that as best as we can, in whatever way we can, with activities, support, outings, communication, having meals with the residents, etc., you know, going to the activities, being part of the community. That's the big way that we can help. So laughter being the greatest medicine, and how it helps and heals, just as, you know, happiness and humour does. It's just an extension of it, really, isn't it? I mean, when we are feeling happy and we do find something humorous, then it reaches the point where we just have to have a laugh, isn't it? To let out the positive tension. Well, actually, maybe not to let out positive tension, to let out tension. Yeah, it does let out tension. It lets out anger, you know, negativity, depression, anything that's negative just seems to ripple out, you know, like a wave somehow, like a pool in a pond. No, not a pool in a pond, sorry. A stone thrown into a pond, you know, and then all those ripples go out. Same with laughter. You have a good laugh and it just ripples out. It's fantastic. And then, of course, it starts to affect the other people, doesn't it? Like in a little unit, dementia unit, where everyone's, you know, quite, you know, close together, it doesn't take much for one lot of laughter to be heard at the other side of the room, and then everyone else starts to feel it. Very entertaining, very medicine-like. No side effects, no toxins. Now, also another way that laughter is the greatest medicine is that if people can catch the humour, you know, if residents can catch the humour and the laughter and the goodwill vibe in a dementia facility, then they will automatically be entitled to the inner group, the inner core, you know, the strong thinking group at the centre where the influences are. Because if you can't catch the humour, if you're depressed and you can't catch the humour and you're not willing to make the effort to rally yourself around to come out of it, and you just sit there like a, you know, lump of jelly or whatever. Oh, no, that's not a very nice expression. But you just sit there, just dour and staid, immovable, so to speak. And you're not letting yourself be moved by any humour or laughter or anything that other residents or staff try to do to, you know, bring you out of that state. Well, you know, I mean, it comes down to one's personal choice, doesn't it? You know, I mean, no matter how depressed and down we are in a dementia unit, there will always be someone that will come along and try and bring you out of it. You know, whether it's a staff member coming up and saying, say it's Doris, "Hi Doris, would you like a cup of tea and a piece of cake?" At least you can say, "Thank you, dear," and smile, even if you don't feel, you know, good. You can at least pretend you feel good. "Thank you, nice cup of tea, thank you very much, I appreciate it." Something like that, you know. And when you start to make a little bit of an effort to give positive responses, as we know, it lifts your spirits. And dementia residents do note if someone just sits there and is immovable, you know, to positive input. You know, I know there was one lady there at the unit that she was a lovely lady. She was really intelligent, fabulous at crosswords. She'd been a university lecturer, tall, slim, well-dressed, no relatives. I think she was estranged from her family in some way, sadly. And she had a bitterness, you know, and that bitterness You could see it, you know, she had this austere sort of aristocratic, you know, higher than thou type attitude. And she came to the workshops, you know, she'd answer the odd question because she was intelligent and probably knew most of the answers, but she'd hardly say anything. But now and then she'd answer a question, but she never allowed herself to let her defenses down, you know. She was so strongly protecting and guarding her boundaries that she never let the defenses down. She never, you know, I must admit, I did see her warm up once. It was the only time in about 3 years, and that was actually when the nice army guy said that she had a good figure, which she actually did. And he said, "Oh, you've got a nice figure, dear." And she actually smiled for the first and only time I ever saw her smile. She had a lovely smile, as we all do, as everyone has, ill or not ill. And she stood up and she, you know, turned herself around so everyone could see her lovely figure. Then she sat down again, smiled, but that was the last time it happened. We should have tried to work on that a bit more when I think about it. Maybe had a fashion show with her in it or something. But anyway, other than that, I think it was hard to support her because she didn't have any relatives or other outside influences or outside support. And she didn't make another friend at the unit, you know, who could help her. She just kept withdrawn and shut down. So in other words, if you can't, you know, engage with the humour of the group, it's very difficult to come in and be part of the group. I mean, even ladies that were quiet and didn't contribute much, as long as they could just sit there and enjoy it and had a nice warm expression on their faces, and it was noted that they were enjoying themselves and, you know, having a little laugh when someone else was quite funny. I mean, that in itself was a great contribution. I mean, even if they only spoke 2 words every 2 days, that was fine, as long as they were in the group and part of it and not sort of steeled off. So that's why, you know, laughter is the greatest medicine, because it takes away that tension. It changes our personality. It brings us into presence and brings us back to our own self. So we can express ourselves through presence. Whereas if we're shut down and all the defenses are up, you know, we're just like icy, aren't we? It's like an icy version of ourselves, not a warm version of ourselves. So that's why, you know, laughter is the greatest medicine, because it brings us out and makes us, you know, it makes our makes us emotionally healthy, doesn't it? And if we're emotionally healthy and all that anger and angst and everything sort of faded out because of the laughter, if we're emotionally healthy, it's very good for our blood pressure and our nervous system. It settles our nervous system when we have a good laugh, because you know, anxiety is such a terrible thing. You just sort of feel like you're on edge the whole time and all your nerves are shot to pieces. But if you have a good laugh, you know, the nerves just settle down a bit and they sort of start to behave themselves and sort of rally around and sort of organize themselves in a positive way, rather than a sort of networked sort of spiked way, which is what it feels like when you're on edge. And I think in the war it must have been, you know, the men, you know, all the photos you see of the men in the war, you know, having a good laugh, camaraderie, have a cup of tea, a smoke, enjoy themselves, enabled them, didn't it, to cope with the ravages of war. So same in a dementia unit, there's a lot of stress going on. And so if there's that laughter, you know, it is a good medicine. I mean, it does help. I think, you know, a medication has to be given in some cases, but, you know, a good sense of humour and camaraderie and a friendship is as good as anything half the time. So anyway, that's the end of the video today. Thank you very much for your likes and subscriptions. If you want to know a bit more about me or about the books, you can go on to www.pietavalentine.com, my website. It's got the books, it's got extracts, it's got radio interviews, America Tonight interview by Kate Delaney. This is all under reviews in the website. And I've got all this, the website, under the description in this video as well. Author Voices on Air, Australasia by Geraldine Tuggerlove. And a recent interview with Suzanne Harris is coming up. And videos, 25 videos of each book is under the reviews as well, the practical positive techniques. So if you don't want the ads, you can go to the website and it will be there. Thank you.